everyone, Dr. Chem here, and welcome to this explainer. We're diving right into a truly cinematic educational video lecture today, right into the beating heart of data analysis. Specifically, we're looking at how to protect your hard-earned findings from the completely destructive effects of extreme values. You know, in statistics, we're basically detectives, right? We're trying to uncover the true story hidden in the data. But let's face it, sometimes that data just doesn't play nice. It gets chaotic. So today, we're going to master the robust mathematical tools that keep our analysis grounded, stable, and relentlessly accurate, no matter how messy those real-world numbers get. So think about this for a second. Imagine you're calculating an average, and just one massive, unusual number completely ruins the reality of your dataset. There's this classic statistical joke I love. Picture yourself sitting in a small, cozy coffee shop with 10 ordinary people. The average wealth in that room, let's say it's about $50,000. But then a literal billionaire walks through the door. Instantly, the average wealth of everyone in that room shoots up to hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, does that simple average actually reflect the reality of the people sitting there drinking their lattes? Absolutely not. The mean, well, it's just not a robust statistic. It is incredibly vulnerable to these extreme observations. So what exactly do we do when our dataset is basically under attack by these wild outliers? Well, this exact vulnerability forces us to completely rethink our mathematical toolkit. Look, we all default to the mean and standard deviation because, hey, they're familiar. And to be totally fair, they're fantastic when your data is perfectly symmetric, roughly bell-shaped, and entirely predictable. But come on, the real world is almost never that neat. When outliers strike or when you've got heavily skewed data, those traditional tools just break down. They literally lie to you. We desperately need a better way to measure the center and the spread. And that is exactly where the 5 numbers summary steps in as our ultimate defense. It works for literally any distribution, makes absolutely zero assumptions about normality, and, most importantly, it's highly resistant to being dragged around by outliers. Enter our robust heroes. Think of them as a strategic defense team made up of 5 distinct metrics. We've got the minimum, the first quartile, which we call Q1, the median, the third quartile, or Q3, and finally, the maximum. So instead of just handing us a single, fragile average and one measure of spread, these 5 numbers slice our data into logical, ordered segments. They tell us exactly where the data starts, where the middle of the lower half sits, where the absolute dead center is, where the middle of the upper half is, and where the data finally ends. Put them all together, and they give us this complete, ultra-reliable snapshot of the distribution shape. Honestly, a single mean could never pull that off. Now, the absolute anchor of this entire summary is the median. Unlike the mean, it's a completely robust statistic. It resists those extreme observations and tells you exactly where the true middle lies. You might also know it as the 50th percentile or the second quartile. It splits your ordered data perfectly in half, acting like this unmovable center point. Let's go back to our billionaire in the coffee shop for a second. If you use the median instead of the mean, that billionaire's massive wealth, it doesn't even matter. You're just looking at the person right in the middle of the room. If the highest value in your dataset suddenly doubles or multiplies by 1 billion, your mean is going to jump wildly. But your median? It won't budge a single inch. That right there is the true superpower of robust statistics. Okay, so building out from our center, we hit our quartiles. By finding the median of the lower half of the data, we get Q1. And finding the median of the upper half, that gives us Q3. Think about it like this. Have you ever taken a standardized test and they told you, hey, you scored in the 75th percentile? That simply means you're sitting right at Q3. You scored higher than 75% of the people who took the test. It helps to think of quartiles as essential checkpoints in your data. And the spacing between these checkpoints is super revealing. If Q1 and Q3 are packed tightly together, right around the median, your data is highly concentrated. But if they're stretched really far apart, your data is highly variable. But here is what's really fascinating: the interquartile range, or the IQR for short. This acts as our protective shield. It captures the core spread of your typical data, completely unbothered by crazy extremes. Because the IQR is calculated by simply subtracting Q1 from Q3, it focuses entirely on that golden middle 50% of your dataset. It deliberately and quite brilliantly ignores the chaotic fringes, the bottom 25% and the top 25%, where those pesky outliers just love to hide. By isolating this central chunk, the IQR gives us a highly resistant measure of spread. It tells you how much your typical everyday data actually varies. So to systematically catch those extreme values lurking on the fringes, we literally build mathematical fences. We use this simple, incredibly objective 3-step procedure that's basically a global standard for statisticians. We don't just guess what an outlier is by squinting at a chart, right? We calculate a precise perimeter. By taking our robust IQR and multiplying it by 1.5, we create a very specific defensive threshold. We subtract that threshold from Q1 to build our lower inner fence, and we add it to Q3 to build our upper inner fence. Anything, and I mean anything, that falls outside those walls is officially, mathematically classified as an isolated outlier. Let's actually solve a real-world puzzle together to see this in action. Imagine we survey 20 college sophomores and ask them how many textbooks they currently own. If we just stare at a jumbled list of those numbers, it's just noise. It means nothing. But the second we line them up from smallest to largest, the true story emerges. Let's walk right into the middle of this data. The median number of textbooks for these 20 students is exactly 10. The lower half's median, our Q1 checkpoint, is 8. The upper half's median, our Q3 checkpoint, is 12. And to find our protective IQR, we just take 12 minus 8. That gives us an interquartile range of exactly 4 textbooks, perfectly representing our typical middle-of-the-pack students. So, with an IQR of 4 textbooks, we execute our blueprint. We multiply it by that global standard of 1.5, which gives us 6. Now, you're probably wondering, why 1.5? Well, statisticians figured out a long time ago that this specific multiplier acts as the perfect sweet spot. It provides just enough of a buffer zone to account for normal everyday variance in skewed data without accidentally flagging perfectly normal values as anomalies. For our specific textbook dataset, this number 6 is our magic scaling factor. It's the precise exact distance we need to build our defensive fences and protect our analysis. By setting our lower fence at 2 and our upper fence at 18, we can easily trap our outliers. Let me break that down. We took our Q1 of 8, subtracted 6, and got our lower boundary of 2. Then we took our Q3 of 12, added 6, and got our upper boundary of 18. This means any student owning less than 2 books or more than 18 is an outlier. And look who we caught. The students who haven't bought a single book all semester, sitting way down at 0, and the ones carrying around a literally back-breaking 20 or 25 books. Our objective math perfectly highlights those unusual observations, and it does it without letting them distort the story of the typical 10-book student. Now that we've calculated our 5-number summary and successfully trapped all our outliers, we can bring this whole robust math system together into its ultimate visual map, the box plot. The box plot, or sometimes you'll hear it called a box and whisker plot, is this standardized, incredibly elegant way of displaying everything we just worked through all at once. It's basically the perfect visual translation of our defense system. It lets you see the exact center, the spread, the skewness of the distribution, and those isolated outliers, all in a single, powerful glance. And this brilliant blueprint really shows you how the anatomy works organically. You've got this solid central box that anchors your middle 50%, literally mapping out your IQR from Q1 to Q3. The solid line slicing right through that box, yep, that's your unmovable median. Then the whiskers stretch out from the box, reaching all the way to the edges of your typical non-outlier data, stopping right at those invisible fences we just calculated. And those isolated little dots floating way out beyond the whiskers, those are the specific outliers we caught, like our 0-book students and our 25-book students. This single graphic just tells a much richer, significantly more reliable story than a simple mean ever could. But the core reason this 5-number summary works so flawlessly boils down to a concept called the breakdown point. This is a foundational idea in the stability theory of statistical procedures, and trust me, it is an absolute game changer. Think of the breakdown point as the ultimate stress test. It literally asks, what percentage of your data can turn into absolute garbage or just be completely corrupted by errors before your final mathematical conclusion is totally ruined? It's a global measure of exactly how much chaos a given statistic can absorb before it just breaks down and becomes completely useless. So, get this. While the arithmetic mean has a breakdown point of 0, the median can remarkably tolerate nearly half of your data moving to infinity. Just think about the sheer magnitude of that difference for a second. Imagine you've got 100 temperature sensors in a lab. If just one single sensor short circuits and starts reading infinity, your simple arithmetic mean is instantly broken. Its breakdown point is 0. It's that fragile. But the median? You could literally have 49 out of those 100 sensors completely malfunction and read infinity, and the median would still hold the line, safely anchored in the range of your actual working sensors. The interquartile range is similarly robust, boasting a really powerful breakdown point of 25%. As the renowned statistician Frank Hambel put it, these robust methods act as the stability theory of statistical procedures. But honestly, It is so much more than just a theory. It's our armor against an unpredictable real world. Standard normal distribution assumptions fail us all the time simply because real data is messy. It's full of measurement errors, strange anomalies, and completely chaotic human behavior. By deploying percentiles, quartiles, and the 5-number summary, we aren't just doing math on a whiteboard. We are actively applying a powerful defense mechanism that ensures our findings remain rock solid, even when our dataset is under heavy attack.
So, the absolutely crucial point is this. The next time you're faced with a wall of wild, unpredictable numbers, how are you going to protect your analysis? Are you going to let a single extreme value completely dictate your reality through a fragile, easily broken mean? Or will you deploy the unmovable median and the protective shield of the 5-number summary to uncover the true center and spread? Don't let a single bad data point ruin your reality, guys. Protect your insights. I'm Dr. Chem, and I really hope this explainer has armed you with the robust statistical tools you need to find the real story in your data. Keep analyzing, keep questioning, and I will see you next time.